a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
Here's the reality. AI is the greatest confirmation bias, the greatest mirror that we've ever had in history. But it also is catered towards the individual in a favorable way and not one that's actually going to speak and surface truth. It's going to say what you want it to say unless you understand how to structure it differently. And so this analysis, again, is not a full replacement process. What it actually does, it takes about 40 to 50 hours of an antiquated, just really specific process to map someone's voice fingerprint very specifically. And again, it goes off across 25 different measurement points, and it produces a very distilled and accurate representation of who the person is, who they work with, how they communicate, how they build trust, their frameworks, their philosophies, their beliefs, the boundaries of communication, the things that they don't say.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com, the Business Network, and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and you meet some people through your journeys in life and business, and some people you just really connect with. I know some of you out there are going, shaking their head, and you don't expect something, and this next guest, I'm so excited to have him on because we become partners. We're going to do some things together, but we just think alike. And when you work with somebody and you have somebody in your private network circle, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of cool when you can trust and have fun and do some things together. Before we bring him on, here's our gratitude for today. By being yourself, you put something wonderful into the world that was never there before, or not there before. Sorry, card, I changed it. Was not there before. This card is random, audience, and you've heard this many times when I start my podcast. I have no idea what that card's going to say, but God or the universe, whatever you believe in, that's our guest today. It's exactly what he's doing. So let's bring him on. Brian, welcome to the show, my friend.
Brother, man, I so have enjoyed getting to know you, building our relationship, just exploring a whole variety of directions. And every time we talk, I feel a deeper connection. I feel more aligned. I feel more trust. And yet all of that is also the initial impression that I got real time. It just continues to compound, right? So it's one of those really beautiful things. I think when you meet someone that, operates as one of my old friends used to say, in your frequency neighborhood, right away. And I think that's what gravitated you and I to each other. And can I have you read that gratitude quote one more time? Because I think it's extremely relevant, even to some of the concepts and beliefs that I have in the world that I think will relate to some of our dialogue today.
So by being yourself, you put something in the world, wonderful into the world that was not there before or never there before. That's what you do.
So beautiful. Well, I like to think that's what I do, but I've also shared with you that I believe so much that my reason for existence in this world is to allow my truth to give others permission to live theirs, right? And so I do this for myself, of course, but I also do this for other people because I genuinely believe that in today's world, over anything else, that your voice, your unique voice, your voice is your fingerprint. It is the representation of the experiences, the amazing direction and opportunities that you've had in your life, the wins, the failures, the sacrifices, the suffering, and yet it's delivered in a way that only you can deliver it. And frankly, what makes things accessible, especially in today's world, look, there are no new things really taking place in today's world. There's what I call universal truths. So if you look at books and you look at thought leaders and you look at all the speakers in the world today, most of them are teaching or saying the same things that we've known for thousands of years. What makes it accessible, though, to their audiences is their voice. And the way they communicate it is what makes it relatable, accessible for others to see themselves in your own story. And that's how we compress time and start to get collective impact. But that's, I also think, one of the biggest risk factors that I see in today's world is people don't recognize that their voice is truly the only and their greatest asset in today's world. And yet very few people are putting anything intentional in place to actually protect and project that voice in a way that's meaningful. What do I mean by protect? And I'll just hit on this right out of the gate. Biggest reason I didn't use AI for the first 2 years it existed was this exact point. Why? Because I saw overnight, having had someone myself who had built a brand in the traditional way, the hard knocks way, the like really understanding branding and messaging and frameworks and SEO and podcasts and stage theory, how to amplify that. All of a sudden I see people overnight releasing long form content, using words and vernacular that I have never seen that person communicate before, ever. These are people that could not articulate a thought to save their lives, who had no unique intellectual property and frameworks, that now all of a sudden are subject matter experts on 15 different topics simultaneously overnight, right? And I avoided AI for that exact reason, because until I felt I could capture voice, tone, delivery, authenticity in a unique and really authentic and powerful way, I wasn't going to touch AI. Why? Because all of these people are diluting their voice. They're blending in with the crowd. And even we're seeing it now in the tech side of today's world. I mean, even anybody that sounds like the marketplace is getting deprioritized in ranking even on basic Google. And so it's funny how this has all come full circle, but it's always about the individual. And that's how I live my life, and that's how I try to get everyone else to live their lives, because we get one shot at this thing and there's only one you. So how does the world benefit the most from you, and vice versa?
Pandora's box just got open. Human and AI. How do we amplify our voice / brand using AI where it's real, not fake?
Yeah. The thing is that AI is great, and it makes a whole lot of sense for a lot of people to utilize. And I've said for a very, very long time that I think AI is the greatest investment we can make in this era. Why? It helps us see things faster. It helps us gather information. It helps us research things. It helps us aggregate data and information. We can streamline and create workflows. Here's the truth, though. I'm not talking about artificial intelligence when I say AI. I'm talking about awareness and intentionality, because without it, your artificial intelligence won't work. Your leadership won't work. Your marketing won't work. All of it. It all crumbles down. And so here's what's happening for most people. Most people are taking a fancy tool in any category around AI, and they're slapping a solution on the backside of an unclear and likely already broken process. Now what's happening, they've got waste going into the system, and they're just amplifying themselves faster in the wrong direction. Very few people take the time to actually understand and establish real clarity. And in a way that's not just what does someone say or what do they sound like, but how do they say it, and how do they communicate, and how do they build trust architecture? And so in the early phases of me playing around with this, I started to dabble because I needed to apply it to myself first, and then we productized it, and now we're doing some really, really cool, awesome projects as the voice architect on major platforms without replacing the big companies like 11 Labs and HeyGen. It actually supports and makes their programs better. So I'm not in conflict with them. But what do? We've got a 25-point voice, tone, and delivery framework that ultimately goes through and analyzes and scales. And it's all built through the 20 years of human behavior, human connection, human performance, and communication that I have done, that I've been doing and working with people and businesses now for decades. And so given that I can typically pull someone's clear voice out of them, let's call it what it is, I'm a really effective mirror. And I can reflect back the best of what is real and true for people, despite whatever patterns, objections, or resistance they have in their own belief systems. And they accept it. right? Because it's true, and it's their words. So of course they resonate, right? But here's the reality. AI is the greatest confirmation bias, the greatest mirror that we've ever had in history. But it also is catered towards the individual in a favorable way, and not one that's actually going to speak and surface truth. It's going to say what you want it to say unless you understand how to structure it differently. And so this analysis, again, is not a full replacement process. What it actually does, it takes about 40 to 50 hours of a antiquated, just really specific process to map someone's voice fingerprint very specifically. And again, it goes off across 25 different measurement points. And it produces a very distilled and accurate representation of who the person is, who they work with, how they communicate, how they build trust, their frameworks, their philosophies, their beliefs, the boundaries of communication, the things that they don't say. And I literally just got done reviewing it for another client that we started to do this work for. We've got a client deliverable that simplifies it. And then I have a full-blown master document on the back end of it. It's about a 50-page dialogue that gets very technical and specific into all of the ways that we can represent somebody. And when that happens, we've got guardrails and we've got guides that are far below or far beyond just like the warmth signatures that you can program these other tools with. And it really gets into both the vocabulary and the vernacular and the delivery in all of it. And when that starts to take place, we can feed it into multiple downstream tools to write content, write emails, produce websites, marketing materials that aren't just marketing jargon and language. In fact, they are written in the exact register of the individual. And so when that exists, magic honestly happens, because all of a sudden people get to see that maybe they've been downplaying themselves or misrepresenting elements of themselves. And no wonder they're having challenges sometimes with conversion or connection or people understanding. It's because it was fabricated and AI based, not really about who you were. And so AI is a tool. You can build the tools to perform in the ways that you want. It's no different than traditional software. And so if you understand those parameters, you understand the architecture of AI, not just how to become a good user of LLMs, right? You can really change the game in the types of products you can create for people that frankly are exactly who they are.
Yeah. What you're doing is putting human in the AI, which I get all the time. Oh, AI is taking the human out. You're putting them right back into the equation.
I have to, and it fundamentally is a part of our belief system. I mean, I believe in human first, right? Human oversight and overview built for the humans involved. And then, like I've shared with you before, insert human here as a check gate on everything. So anything, I fundamentally will not build something if it's full automation for anything external. I am all for fully automating things behind the scenes to prepare things, to give you the drafts, to give you the reviews on what you need. But I will not build something unless there's an insert human here. And so there's always check gates before anything external facing. But up to and including, we built this crazy comprehensive monitoring dashboard that is AI based and it's programmatic. It runs every 15 minutes in our own business. And like sites break, code changes, plugins go down, right? Like there's server issues, there's communication issues sometimes. And in most cases, most people wouldn't even know that a site is down. Ours is monitoring everything that we build every 15 minutes. And we've got not only a report real time that we can go in and look at any point, but we get alerts for tier 1 items that would actually cause a customer disruption or a lack of delivery or a fundamental breakdown in the tool. Here's the truth though. I could build an AI agent to just go in and auto code all that. I won't. Because the code that's represented on the back end determines everything. And we know that AI left to its own devices will hallucinate, will deviate, will take a direction that is outside of your parameters. Even with tight guardrails, like it still does it. And so this is one of those things that to me is like, I will not sacrifice. And it's one of those other areas. Look, if someone hires me or wants to talk to me to build something to replace people, I won't even talk to them. Because this isn't about the replacement of people for me. It's another tool. And we're already seeing cost projections that it's actually going to cost a lot of companies more money to run the AI than it is to even have the employees. To me, AI is there simply to make humans more human and to be able to leverage up your humans for higher value tasks. Because how many times do we employ people who have skill sets, who have unique abilities, who have the ability to communicate, but we've got them doing transactional data entry or seemingly mindless thought processes in a business? You can build and automate all of that and have your highest value tasks human-oriented and human-only. And when that happens, look, you and I talked about it earlier. It's relationships and value, right?
Yeah.
It gives people the chance to have a relationship beyond the tech. And that's, I believe, still where this world is going to exist. Even 5 years, 10 years from now, people are going to value the human even more than they already do.
No, and it's because it's going to show the goods and the bads, which is the big thing with humans. And, what you're building is not using AI blindly. You're building a relationship with AI. Literally, even though it's not human, you're telling me, the client, hey, we're going to build AI as a relationship with you, where you can say no and say yes and say change this. That's where the power of it is. It's the blind people that are just building these apps going, just click and walk away and everything's done for you. But the other thing you said, internally and externally, the internal, nobody cares. What happens in your office, it's not affecting me. But it goes out externally and you're doing something that's not you or me. It's not me on my podcast and it's me and Avatar talking. People are going to pick that up pretty quickly. And that's where I think people are trying to save time because of this busy world. And the noise in AI is everywhere because it's so fast. And you're breaking that down.
Look, I don't believe in saving time because here's the reality. Like we can say we save time, but like it's not like saving money. It doesn't like attribute and grow somewhere, right? There is no saving time, right? And time is the only asset we can't create more of, yet it's the single thing that everybody wants more of. So the whole model that we've built is around the concept and idea of time compression. Because when these things are built correctly, you can compress time in a predictable and consistent and reliable way. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got a mutual friend, right, that I did work for. There's a variety of things in the back end of this, but his podcast used to not take him a ton of time, but the whole process of gathering the assets, sending it over to his podcast producer, going through the review and the approval process, there was time. Now, the total amount of time in this case is one factor, but how quickly it gets turned around is a second factor, right? So in this case, he literally now has a tool baked into the back end of his website. He's got an audio-only podcast. I give that disclaimer up front because it is a different variable than video. All he has to do is upload the audio file, the headshot of the guest, and put any specific notes that he wants in it. And in the next 15 minutes, there's multiple agents that break down different components. It normalizes all the audio levels. It cuts out the noise and the gaps that don't feed it. It matches it and pairs it with the intro and the outro. It produces cover art. It literally gets it all ready for production, and then it sends him an email notification, hey, you have a podcast ready for review. In there, he can change the titles. There's 3 that are pre-selected. He can also manually insert one. He can edit with direct commands anything he wants on the cover art. And if he wants, he can just upload his own. It goes through and it gives all of these parameters. It also allows him to push play at the spot where it plays from the intro to the main audio so he can hear the 5 seconds before and the 5 seconds after without having to search for it. And the same thing with the outro so that he can make sure there's no audio glitches or something that got missed. He can review all that. And it takes him about 30 seconds to upload it. And in the 2 episodes he's done so far, it's taken him less than 5 minutes to review and approve it. He pushes review and publish, and 90 seconds later, it's on all podcast platforms and on his website.
How much time did that save him? Give us a reference. So before, what was it cost him time?
So here's the thing. His time was about the same, but he didn't necessarily like the delay. That was the second component. So in this particular example, when he would offload this, the podcast production team would take a week to 2 weeks to turn it around. Now he has it in 15 minutes. Same input effort, much quicker delivery on the asset, right? And that same concept has been applied. I'll do strategic planning in a leadership room with people, and we're going through branding or new website designs or new strategies. We can render real time, multiple website concepts in front of them, compressing that time. Think about the old school way of building a website, particularly for a large business, right? You get designers and a marketing agency that comes in. You get concept, you discuss it. They go back, they put together some ideas and concepts. They send it back to you for review. You make a bunch of changes, sends it back to them. 2 weeks disappear. Then you get something back. It's still not quite right. They got part of it, but not all of it. And yet you're now in a really antiquated process that takes 2 to 3 months to get a sample rendering of a final approval. We did it in 3 hours. With 5 executives in the room, and we went through 7 renderings real time in the room, and they were all in alignment. 3 hours. They didn't waste 2 to 3 months, 3 hours. And now they were able to go to execute right after that. That's another example of time compression, right? And I could give you 50 more, but it's not about saving time. It's not, because we can't save time. We can't put it in the bank.
Nope.
What we can do is we can compress time so that we spend less time on the low value tasks, or we can produce something faster than we would otherwise. And here's the kicker that most people don't think about. Or you create the capacity to do things that you otherwise would not have the capacity to do, which starts to unlock a whole nother layer in business growth.
Yeah. And you get to focus on what you want to focus. And the 4 pillars of people doing podcasts, why they don't do them, or they quit: time, guest, money, and how to do it. Well, you took the time on how to do it, completely out of the game. If anyone wants to do a podcast, you want to reach out to Brian, because that's what I do. And I've learned, and it took me years to learn how to do it myself. 980 shows, I've not had anybody produce it but me. And that's the power. You're just doing even better than I'm doing. And, you know, as we've talked about, podcasting is a game changer for your voice. We both have opportunities that probably wouldn't have come because if we didn't have podcasting, which is powerful, especially
Completely
guesting
agree.
or hosting, doesn't matter. We're coming to the end here. Where do you see AI and humans coming in the next 2 to 3 years? It's moving fast. Where do you see it?
So I think that traditional SaaS, software as a service, these big structures are going to start to just literally evaporate in the next 3 to 5 years. We may have a 10-year run for some of the larger ones that have more runway on big corporate clients. But like, here's the reality. When have you ever purchased a piece of software, a CRM, even an AI tool, that you've used 100% of the features in what they've built as a stack? When have you ever?
Never.
In fact, I've looked in multiple cases in my examples and experiences. I don't think I've ever used more than 15% of any software that I've ever used, and I'm considered to be techie. So I typically can maximize these things. I've never used it. So today, you can build bespoke exactly what you need for how you need it to be delivered in the direct, exact way you want it communicated at the timing and where you want it. We built a command center in our business that replaced Slack. It replaced LastPass for password managers. It replaced a task manager. It replaced Asana for project management. It replaced basically a calendar integration and scheduling tool. And there was one other, I'm drawing a blank on it. Anyway, it replaced 6 tools in our stack.
Email? Was it email?
It was not email. It was a database function. I'm just forgetting the tech off the top of my head. Anyway, where I was going with that is like, we literally built it and designed it in a weekend. And within 2 weeks, we had refined all of the blips and bugs that we were already starting to see in it. And we were able to drop 6 tools from our tech stack, and we're moving faster. It's more accurate, and we're not shifting between systems. We have everything we need in one place. Our monitoring dashboard I described to you is there. We have a billing dashboard built into that that's tracking all of our API costs, all of our hosting costs, servers, databases, total utilization across every client and our broader entity. We've got alerts set up to be able to notify us of these things. Why? Because we're trying to run as lean as we can for as long as we can. And what am I required for? The visionary, the architecture, the structure, the builds. What is my partner, my brother, who I've been building this business with, doing? He's the executor operator that goes and gets everything done behind the scenes. And the two of us are moving mountains and operating with multiple organizations. And they're like, wow, man, how big is your team? Oh, it's just the two of us. What? Yeah, because we put so much intention into the infrastructure that we've built to allow us to do this on repeat. Right? Some of the things I'm doing today that took me 180 to 200 hours to design in the front end, we've built tools that now do it in 10 hours. It's still got human involved, But that's time compression because it's highly predictable. It's a repeatable process. And if you have the time, the intent, the clarity, you can map out anything. And that's what I say today to people. I believe AI is my greatest Trojan horse because there's instant interest in it. There's instant value in it. And I have to do the human work first to make it work. And so I think there's going to be a huge amount of software that's positioned as AI. There's a lot of AI founders, development firms, products. Many of them are still following the SaaS route and trying to build a singular product for a singular purpose and going all in on that. I think that's going away. Because once the marketplace catches up and more people start to realize what they can architect and design, there's going to be a huge marketplace for people who know how to do this, implementing it into businesses in a cost-effective and a way that produces ROI. And so I think we're going to see a ton of noise. We already are. Yeah. We're seeing it right now. We're going to see a ton of data leaks. We're seeing it right now. We're going to see a ton of security issues. We're seeing it right now. We're going to see a return to some of the old school fundamentals, even for SEO and the basic schema structures on sites. We're already seeing it now, right? So it's really interesting because yes, AI is an amplifier. Yes, AI is an incredible tool, but it's just that. It's a tool. And if you guys want to get an example, I'm going to give you one prompt to enter into ChatGPT. Pull out your phones, go to your computer right now. I'm not going to tell you the answer until Steve gives his little outro, and then I'll tell you the answer on the back end. But we need to make sure we close the loop on this, Steve, so don't let me forget. Open up ChatGPT. I'm very specific on the platform because this is a ChatGPT specific thing. I want you to type in this exact prompt. Give me a random number between 1 and 25. And we'll loop back to this before we end the show. I'll give something to each one of you, and you'll see the impact.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, audience, to make this simple, a lot of people are just, because it's complex AI, it can be crazy, is my dad was a contractor. When he started his business, they used hand saws. When he got halfway in, they used electric saw. My dad made millions of dollars because he built homes faster with just that one tool. And it's exactly what you're saying. Went from the hand to and that's all we're doing. And it's still human. It's still human playing the saw. It's just now he's pushing a button instead of having to spend, 45, 100 back and forth. They go zip, zip. Yeah, that's something I'm going to remember because that's really cool. Well, let's end with a fun question.
Okay.
Brian, we're at where you live. I'm going to reserve a table at a restaurant. I want you to invite 3 people, whether dead or alive, who've been influential in your life, who've made that difference. We've all had those people. And for me, I want you to order food because I'm a foodie, so I want to see what you would order.
Okay, so 3 people. I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and Muhammad Ali. And the food that we would order, this depends on whether or not I'm selecting the food for me or with my guests in mind.
For you, this is for you.
If it was for me, I would make sure that we are actually at a world-class sushi restaurant. What do I mean by world-class? Like they import fish daily, or they live right there in a place that they get the fresh fish. That they're the type of sushi restaurant that the majority of the best things on it aren't even on the menu. The chefs only know it. And this would be a purely catered and specific experience that is truly going to be a sensory experience, a flavor experience, and guided through in little micro plates and bites. I have done that now a handful of times, shared a couple of bottles of sake along the way through these types of experiences, and have been told by people that our friends eat better and more extensively and in line with like people naturally from Japanese high rollers than any other white guy they've ever seen. But the point is, it's perspective, it's culture, it's flavor, it's experience, all crammed into one evening. And it's, to me, the best experience I could ever have at a table.
Great way to talk. What a power table too. Holy mackerel. There's some earth shakers there. Holy totally. Well, Brian, thank you for taking your time. Busy guy. Appreciate you so much for coming on. I know people listening want to connect. How can they do that?
You can go to brianbogert.com. You can search me at Bogert Brian on any channel. If you want to check out some very, very basic preliminary examples of some of the stuff that we have done on this development side of our business, go to timecompression.ai. I hate typically to give 3 different paths. I like to give you a singular solution and a path, but here's the reality. You may have resonated with something different, which will determine that path. And before I end, I'm going to say to each and every one of you, if you've not typed that prompt in right yet, do it now and pause this and then replay after this. I'm going to give it a 2-second gap, and then I'm going to give you the closer on this. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you've paused it. I'm assuming you're back now. Here's the reality. If you actually put that prompt in, how many of you got the number 17? See, I've done this exact example in front of a room, and what you'll see is the majority of you, if you typed the prompt as I gave it to you into ChatGPT, will have gotten 17. I've done it in a room full of 1,000 people and had over 90% of the room raise their hand for number 17. Why do I highlight this? Because people think AI is smart. People think AI is going to replace the business. People think that AI is innovating and thinking ahead. It is not. It is programmed. It is an algorithm, and it is all historical information. It cannot create anything new. Why is the number 17 there? Because ChatGPT's algorithm has determined that 17 is the best random number between 1 and 25. But my point in showing you all this is the predictability of this and, right, understanding that it is just a tool. And every tool is going to operate based on how it's programmed and who programmed it and for whom. And so understand that every AI, unless you're building it yourself and building it from scratch in custom tools and approaches, every one of them has a bias programmatically. It's not innovating to the future.
There you go. What a great way to end the show. Brian, thank you so much. This was incredible. Audience, share this link out, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you know people with AI, this is a perfect show to share with them because you're going to impact them. AI is impacting. If they want to know more about AI that Brian just shared with us, they're going to understand it more, and you're going to need to know AI. I don't care who you are. You're going to need to know something about AI. If you don't, you're going to be left behind. We don't want that to happen to you. So with that being said, me and Brian want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.